Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your host, Kaylee Lindholm here, and you are tuning in to episode 125. Today's topic, leader, is long overdue. I want to talk about this dilemma I had to deal with back when I started my business over 6 years ago, and again, a couple of years ago when it was time to scale up. The reality is, as independent and fierce as we are as women and men, seldomly do our most important business decisions happen autonomously. Part of making big moves in your business and life requires enrolling the other people who matter in your life into the process. And gaining their buy-in can mean the difference between acceptance, love, support, encouragement, or without their alignment, I'll just say it, your home life can become stressful and you can end up feeling like you're fighting the fires of the business, but also the conflicts that it causes at home. And that's no position to be in as a business owner who truly needs all the tailwind available. And I'm sure you've been there, had to work on the weekend, had to miss a game, couldn't get the dishes done, slacked on getting an appetizer together for a team party because you were working. This is the truth about what being a business owner is. And anyone who says you can just coast your way to success is on crack, or they're coasting but not successful. And it's hard enough to be the one who puts in the work day in and day out, but then to come home to a partner who's either confused about your goals or resents the time you spend achieving it can be the poison for your business, because you can't show up fully engaged, all in, and fully invested emotionally and financially like your business needs when you don't have the proper support. So for me, it started back in 2016 when I made the decision that I didn't want to work for another boss. I knew with every bone in my body that I was made for something else. I had been feeling boxed in and suffocated in my career, and I needed to see what I was truly capable of building on my own. And that conversation was a collaborative decision with my husband. I would step away from the corporate world and take a multiple six-figure pay cut to build my business. At that time, I think we both had a lot of naive confidence and really will to make sure I succeeded. We knew how much I needed to bring in to cover our lifestyle costs, and we knew how much we had saved up to support my ramp up. And I would start with very low overhead and minimal infrastructure until I built equity in the business. I didn't want to start my business on debt, so I would bootstrap it. And that was great for a while. I landed some pretty lucrative contracts right out of the gate, and I was steadily building my footprint. Then the needs of the business began to grow, and it was time to start hiring contractors and invest a little into systems and marketing to keep the pipeline filled, while I became more focused on delivering the service in my business. And that's when my business started getting expensive. I vividly remember my husband sitting down with me in our living room and saying to me, "Kaylee, what's going on here? Costs are adding up in your business. When do you expect things to turn around?" And I just stared at him and tears. I just started crying. And I don't think he was being rude or presumptive, but from my own insecurities, I felt like I wasn't delivering back into my business what I had promised off the bat. And at that point, I walked away and took some deep breaths, and I just had to really think to myself, if roles were reversed, what would reassure me? What would give me the confidence that everything was moving along as planned from my partner? How do I help my partner buy in fully to the vision? Not just today, but how do I find a way to communicate in step with him in a way that he is personally bought in? I turned around and walked back in and I said, "Chad, this is not a hobby for me. This is not a try it out for a little bit and see what happens kind of thing. I'm building $1 million business and I will not stop until I do. At this point, I need to invest $30,000 into infrastructure for my business. I need to hire a full-time employee, and this investment will ensure that I can get them up and running for a few months as they begin to make profit. I also need to invest in a business coach that can help guide me through this process so I'm not winging it on my own. And here's my plan. And I shared with him my strategy from where we would be allocating the 30 grand, how I would pay it back, and what kind of woman I would be able to show up as with the confidence of knowing I have cash in the bank and a built-in thought partner that would be directing me step by step to my next level of growth. I communicated how achieving these goals would help the family both financially and also by allowing me to develop assets that would generate passive income and would protect my time and presence with our kids. And most importantly, I helped him understand that this would fulfill me and challenge me in ways that nourished my soul. Here's the thing, ladies. I felt like I shouldn't need to communicate this on repeat to him. Trust me. But what I see happen too often is a woman who, while she feels fully confident in her ability to make a generous return on her investment, she asks for permission to do so instead of declaring her position. And I'm not really sure why we do this. Maybe because we've answered to others most of our life. We desire to please others. Our husbands manage the household finances, or maybe we're waiting for validation or approval from our partner. I've had a handful of calls recently with prospective clients that will research our company, listen to this podcast, fill out an application to work with us, spend an hour on the phone with our team, talking about how they so deeply desire financial independence in their business and long for the autonomy and flexibility from being pinned down by the day-to-day operations. Then they need to go ask their husbands for approval. Ladies, the first step to cultivating independence in your life is acting like you deserve it. In many scenarios, getting your business what it needs is going to require sophistication, persuasion, direct negotiation, communication, and self-advocacy. And that starts at home. If you can't convince the person who believes in you the most to get behind what it is that you strongly believe will help you advance to the next level, you're going to have a very hard time slaying the dragons of business ownership. I urge you, leader, to look deep within and really ask yourself if you're showing up as a CEO in all the ways your business needs you to. Okay, leader, I hope this episode was to the point and gave you a little dose of inspiration for helping your partner buy into your vision and support you every step along the way. All right, see you next week. Wait, before you go, hey, if you're vibing with this conversation and you want to join me on my mission to help 100 inspiring and intentional women cross the next $1 million milestone in their business this year, or leader, maybe you want to become one of them, head over to Facebook and join our free community, the Fierce Factor Society. Over there, we're taking this conversation to an elevated level. Get access to resource guides, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me, my expert team, and of course, a society of fierce women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetic wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to Facebook and search the Fierce Factor Society. See you there, goddess.